Hello and welcome to the Horror Homestead. My name is GiBi, and in this video we're going to be continuing Return to the Pit. For the last few videos I've been getting comments about people who feel like they're actually frightened about the big red Clifford dog that sits behind me in all of my videos. So in order to assuage their fears, I'm no longer going to have Clifford behind me. I'm going to have him in front of me for this entire video. Where we left off last time, we had just brought our rabbit dad home from Jeff's Pizza from the past, and we're now in our kitchen the first morning of school, and we walk in and we see that our dad is still the rabbit. So we're given some options. You don't know what to do. You only know deep in your gut you have to play along. If you pretend the rabbit is dad, click here. This isn't a game. She has to understand she being mom. If you explain to her what happened and that the rabbit is sitting right here, tap here. So, as we've been doing for this entire series and will continue to do, we're going to do the wrong option first. The wrong option being, tell mom that this rabbit demon isn't dad. I know this isn't a game, you shout. You need her to understand. You point at the rabbit. That's not dad, that's a giant yellow rabbit, and it hurt dad. It did something bad to him. He's trapped in the ball pit at Jeff's Pizza. Mom is staring at you like you're crazy, and maybe you are. Maybe the stuff in the pit didn't happen, maybe 1985 didn't happen, but all you know is right now, it feels super real, and all you can do is deal with the situation at the moment. You know it sounds crazy, but that is also part of the current situation you need to deal with. Sit down, now, your mom orders. The rabbit stands ominously. It stares at you. It raises its hand and points at you. You don't know what he means, but you know it's a threat. No! You pick up the thing closest to you, which happens to be a pancake from the stack, and throw it at the rabbit. The rabbit takes a step back and sits down hard on its chair. Oswald! You grab another pancake, and another. The rabbit is distracted and seems almost as confused as you are. You run out of pancakes, and so take advantage of this moment of confusion and run like heck out of the kitchen, down the hall, and out of the house. You stand on the lawn panting, freaking out. Now what? We can run next door for help or go to Jeff's. We're gonna run next door. There's no time to lose. You don't even bother running down the street to the sidewalk. No, you cut across your lawn, jump over the short hedges that separate the two houses, and barrel up the steps to the dark green front door of your neighbors. You knock loudly, incessantly. Someone has to be home. Please, please let someone be home. The door opens, but it's definitely not Mr. or Mrs. Brown. Another mascot is standing in front of you. What? No way! Oh my god, this is new lore! This time it's not a rabbit, but a large chicken. Chica, you say out loud. You've learned the names of the Freddy's animatronic band members well by now. Freddy the Bear, Bonnie the Purple Rabbit, and Chica the Chicken. Wearing the way too cheerful Let's Eat bib and holding the way too pink cupcake with the eyes and buck teeth. Chica cocks its head to the side as you stare in horror. Slowly you back away, 1 foot behind the other, staring into the hollow empty eyes of the yellow bird. You look at the Let's Eat slogan. There's something terrifyingly gruesome about that. You feel sick to your stomach. You don't know what's going on. Maybe this truly is a nightmare. Maybe you'll wake up. Wake up, Oswald, wake up! Suddenly you're grabbed from behind by two very familiar yellow arms. You have almost no time to register what's happening as both the chick and the rabbit descend upon you. All you know is a terrible sharp pain, and the world swims in your vision. This is new lore. This goes against, like, basically our entire understanding of Into the Pit and the book and the video game and the graphic novel, I guess. Wow! Okay, so other people are possibly replaced by these bad memories? Like, it's more real than just Oswald seeing his father depicted as Bonnie? This is very, very odd. Okay, so instead we're gonna run to Jeff's Pizza instead of going next door to where Chica is. You race down the front path to the sidewalk and then run as fast as you can down the street. The houses blur in your peripheral vision and you feel a bit like a cartoon character running down an infinite hallway of repeating tables and paintings. House after house, lawn after lawn, hydrant after hydrant. Man, Jeff's is quite far away on foot. Your mind wanders to Dad. You can imagine him, floating in a pool of infinite balls, lying there like a drowned man, his face drained of color, his lips purple and cold, all alone because of you, dead because of you. No, you won't think like that. You shake your head and dart across the street. There's a loud screech and you wheel around to see a car slamming to a stop just in front of you. Oswald almost gets hit by a car in like every continuity, I guess. He looks not continuity, timeline in this game. He looks somehow familiar. I mean, that's not unusual since you know almost everyone in this town, but this is different somehow. He leans his head out the driver's side window and says, "Get in." Is this gonna be Mike? Mike and Chip? Is this who this is? Okay, you don't know why, but you get in. You don't have time for after this, what kind of kids gets into a stranger's car? Okay, we're going to not get in the stranger's car, because it seems like getting in the stranger's car is the story progression decision? I don't know, we're just picking randomly at this point. Okay, so we don't get in the car. You start running again. You glance back to see the car is still sitting there, and the man is still staring at you. What on earth is that about? That's just creepy. Okay, add that to the list of all the creepy things that have happened to you already. You shake your head and turn back to focus on your journey to Jeff's. Once again, your mind becomes full of morbid thoughts about your dad, and once again, you are brought out of your reverie by the screeching of tires on pavement. You look up. Is that guy following you? Great, another person out to get you. Just what you need right now. But it's not that guy anymore. It's the rabbit in Dad's car. You realize what is happening a little too late. You try to run, but the rabbit is faster. Of course it is. It's driving a freaking car. It pushes the pedal to the metal and comes barreling towards you. You get hit by a car so often in this story. We might as well have to start calling Oz Dave. There is a car. Okay, we're gonna get into his car. You aren't exactly sure why, but everything else that's happened to you, you are suddenly trusting some random stranger telling you to get in. But get in you do, and quickly close the passenger side door behind you. You turn to look at the man, and he's just staring at you. He has blonde hair, receding a bit at the temples, and a wary expression. Like a man who's traveled around the world a few times and not been happy with what he's seen. The way he's looking at you is unnerving, almost as unblinking as the rabbit. And you are so not down for more unblinking nonsense. What? You ask. Maybe a bit more harshly than you intended, but who cares, really? With everything going on, a bit of directness and mistrust isn't such a bad thing. I'd heard stories, but to see you, it's proof, isn't it? Evidence! Okay, so this guy's either crazy or on something. Nah, dude, not today. You turn to leave, and he grabs your arm. You instantly flinch, and he releases it, holding his hand up high in a kind of apologetic gesture. Oz, man, it's me. I'm sorry, didn't mean to spook you. It's totally Chip. No one calls you Oz. No one except... You look at the face, lined, sunken cheeks, bags under the eyes, but beneath it, all that familiar look, that something else, that gut instinct. Chip? You say it and you don't believe it. The man smiles, a tired smile, but a smile nonetheless. Yeah, man, it's me. It's me? He just said it's me! It's me'd us! Also, just the lore... Okay, so... A lot of people have been saying that the choose-your-own-adventure novels are game canon, and I haven't been quick to say that, because I have a very different interpretation. My current belief is that the choose-your-own-adventure novels are canon to the continuity that they are a part of. So, Return to the Pit is Into the Pit canon. The week before is game canon. But if a book comes out about the FNAF movie, that would be movie canon, right? It's not like all the choose-your-own-adventure books are part of a series that are all canon to each other. So, if we're taking that this is canon to the book continuity, if this is Stitchline canon, it means that going into the memories of the ball pit allowed... Like, it was time travel. You did interact with Chip and Mike to the extent where they can grow up and then recognize you, which is very, very, very interesting, and I like it. I think that's cool. Also, he says, it's me. Chip, from 1985. Chip with the fluffy big hair and the toothy grin. There's some of that grin in his smile. Hidden a bit, but there. You're old now, you say. Chip smiles wide and he laughs. Wow, now he looks so much like 1985. It's freaky. Yeah, it happens. You didn't age a bit. Well, yeah, this is like... my time. You realize how that might sound. Like gibberish. How best to explain. Okay, this is weird, but the ball pit is like a time machine, and I've been going to your time all summer. But really, it's been this time the whole time. Too much use of the word time, you think to yourself. Chip nods. He doesn't seem weirded out by this story in the least. Yeah, I didn't know about the ball pit, but a lot of weird stuff happened back in 1985, and there was some strange time-jumping stuff too. I didn't experience it personally, but it was kind of a crazy summer for us back then. An awful summer. His expression grows dark, and you remember the dead kids in the back room and nod. You know what he's talking about. Other people time-jumped? You ask instead, not wanting to discuss the horror. A couple kids in my time went back. Don't know if it was in the ball pit or something else, but yeah, it all makes sense. Did they? What the heck? You sit in silence for a moment. Then you feel a sudden rush of realization flow over you like a wave. The rabbit! I'm running from the rabbit! That yellow mascot dude? Asks Chip right away. Oh wow, you don't even have to catch him up, it seems. Yes! You are almost too relieved. It's this feeling as if you've already rescued your dad and got rid of the rabbit. But none of that has happened yet. You can't relax yet. You need to stay vigilant. The rabbit hurt my dad, and now he's somewhere in the ball pit at Jeff's. Jeff's is where Freddy's used to be, you explain. And meanwhile, the rabbit has taken over my dad's life and I don't know what it wants. But I'm pretty sure it wants to kill me or something. It's freaky, and I don't know what's going on. Chip nods along to everything you're saying like he's heard it all before. His expression is serious and determined. That rabbit is bad news. Trust me. We all know that. I totally believe it's done that. Not the first time it has time jumped either. No one's managed to destroy it. He takes a deep breath and then exhales. Not yet. It's terrifying. Oz, I've put together a team to take down the rabbit once and for all. We've been waiting for it to appear in this town again, and well, it looks like it's now or never. We were meant to meet today. Will you join us and help us end it? Okay, I hope this is where the story goes. I hope that we never get back on track with Into the Pit. I hope that we have a rabbit fighting team party of people. We get Michael Afton, we get Buff Helpy, just like the Avengers of FNAF characters fighting the evil rabbit man. That would be so stupid. But like the whole franchise is stupid. Like I love it. I hope that happens. I hope it's not just like you click it and then oops, it turns out he was Chica the whole time. He was lying to you. I hope we get the FNAF Avengers. So our options are, oh heck yes, you say. You are so ready for this. If you join Chip's team, tap here. I'm sorry, I'm just a kid. I can't do it. But I believe that you guys can. If you are so relieved from someone else, you can take over. Okay, that's okay. We're gonna do that because I think it's the wrong option. Chip looks a little disappointed, but he nods. Yeah, that makes sense. I shouldn't have asked you anyway. What kind of grown-up am I? He laughs a bit to himself. It's weird thinking of you as a grown-up. I just saw you the other day as a kid, you say. It is kind of trippy to think. Chip has this far-off look on his face now, and he shakes his head slowly. I'm trying to remember what I was like in 1985. You were really cool, you say. Yeah? Oh yeah. And, well, I don't know. Chip furrows his brow as he looks at you. And what? It's dumb, but you were also really nice to me. That's not dumb. You shrug. I guess not. It shouldn't be. But I feel like being nice isn't exactly something that's seen as cool. And you were both. It meant a lot to me. Not a lot of kids are nice to me. That's awful, says Chip. Now he's feeling sorry for you, and you didn't mean for that to happen. You feel pretty pathetic. Nah, it's fine. It's whatever. I like being a loner. But you and Mike were awesome and made this summer a lot better. Before the whole rabbit thing happened. You're now feeling more than just anger and fear about the rabbit. There's bitterness too. You had a good thing going in 1985, and that rabbit totally ruined it. Mike! Oh man, I forgot he was still living here back then. Haven't heard from him in like 15 years. 15 years? You haven't even been alive for that long. It's crazy to think you could have a whole friendship with someone and then not see them for longer than a person had been existing. I feel that. Yeah, he moved with his family the next year. He's in Boston now, married with kids. Whoa, you say. Chip laughs. Wait, okay. So he hasn't seen him in 15 years. He moved away the last year. So so he has seen him since he moved to Boston. Because it can't possibly be 2001 right now. No, it can't be because there's Netflix and there's smartphones. That's just a weird thing. Okay, it's whatever. Oh no, is that the time, he says, suddenly looking at the clock on the dashboard. Sorry, Oz, but I have to go. Have a rabbit I have to take down. Totally! You are not about to hold him back. There's nothing that matters more to you than the destruction of this rabbit. You quickly open the door and jump out into the street. Good luck, you say. Thanks, Oz, he replies. And hey, Oz, yeah? I always thought you were pretty cool, too. Oh no, we're gonna lose! You grin at each other, and then you close the door. Chip speeds off and you watch him disappear around the corner. You feel a really weird mix of feelings. Happy to have seen Chip again, kind of sad he is all grown up, scared that he might not defeat the rabbit, hopeful that he will. Time travel is more complicated than you thought. It didn't just mess with space and time, but your emotions as well. You hear a sudden squeal. I swear to God, if you get hit by a car again. You hear a sudden squeal of rubber on asphalt and you look up. A car is racing right for you. And it's not just any car, Dad's car. You can see the driver now. It's the rabbit. You want to race to find Chip. To tell him the rabbit is right here and it's coming after him. As the car gets closer, you realize what is happening a little too late. The rabbit is trying to kill you with the car. This has nothing to do with Chip. You try to run, but the rabbit is faster. Of course he is. He's driving a freaking car. He pushes the pedal to the metal and comes barreling towards you. Oh my God, when it's not just reusing literal, every 7 different fail states or sending you to page 64 or whatever, when it's not just reusing passages, it's just like, how do I get Oswald killed in this time? A car! This is the greatest possible piece of official FNAF story to come out after Jackie's box, because in my head the entire time, all I'm thinking is, there is a car, and it is going to hit me. Okay, so we're gonna rewind. We're going to join the Freddy's Avengers. I'm running out on the road. The drive is long and winding, and you leave your bleachy, dusty town for rolling hills of patchy yellow fields and dry dirt. The long, hot summer has made its mark here too, and even though you're breathing in the artificial cold from the car AC vents, you can still smell that heavy heat in the air. You turn down a dirt road that throws you around in your seat. The car skids a bit in the gravel as if it's on ice and then settles into worn tracks that make for a slightly smoother ride. You don't say anything to Chip this whole time. You don't know what to say. So when you said you didn't really see movies, he says instead, you can't help but smile. Oh yeah, that was tough to think of movies from 1985. I mean, it's weird. I actually do watch old movies. My dad... You stop then. Thinking about dad makes your stomach clench. Your dad? Yeah, he likes old movies, but even older than 1985. You don't really feel like talking anymore. It's weird to think of the 80s as old, says Chip. Not really. Well, yeah, not for you. But someday someone's going to say now is old, and then you'll get it. Yep. If you're watching this, you're probably younger than me by like 10 years at least. And you one day will feel like nowadays are weird being called old. Gives you a grin, but you're just feeling worse and worse. You feel like you've abandoned dad, that anything could be happening to him. You think about your fights and how you always say his taste in music is terrible. Probably the same as what Chip is saying. Stuff was cool once and now it isn't. And the stuff you like probably won't be cool someday. Not that you ever liked anything because it was cool anyway. And you do kind of like those old monster movies. Man, you feel bad. The car turns down a driveway, long and winding, with pine trees flanking each other. At least these are green, unlike the other kinds of trees that seem ready for fall with browning, yellowing leaves. You finally pull up to a large barn, the kind that's one story and used more for tractor and other vehicle storage than for animals and hay. The white siding makes you squint. As you step out of the car, you can smell the very familiar smell of cow manure. There are a few people milling? Like millie? Milling about outside and the entrance to the barn, and you notice then a girl about your age. It's a relief to see a fellow kid. It's funny, up until recently you always thought of Chip as a kid. She clearly is also happy to see you, and she comes right over with a kind smile. Hi, she says. She sticks out her hand. Hi, you say and take it. Oz, this is Gabrielle. I'm shocked. Oh, okay. So in the original Into the Pit story, Gabrielle is a new girl who moves to town, who Oz interacts with at school. And she's like, oh, I'm reading this book about, like, ancient myths, and you should act like a hero. So then when he's fighting the Spring Bonnie, he's like, I will be a hero. And that's her entire role in the story. Is this saying that Gabrielle in the main real continuity is Chip's daughter? Because that's not implied in the story. Or if it is, I need to read it again more closely. Wow, that's a crazy lore drop for Into the Pit, the book lore. Wow, that's actually pretty crazy. Okay, I'm gonna have to reread that part of Into the Pit, I guess. Oz, this is Gabrielle, my daughter. Gabrielle, this is an old friend of mine, Oz, says Chip. I mean, not that old. She smiles as she shakes my hand firmly and then releases it. Long story, I say. Dad, I'm going to be late for school, she says, turning to Chip. Yeah, sorry, sweetie. Oz here held me up. I think you're going to have to skip today, is that okay? He asks. Gabrielle nods. I'd much rather help you out here anyway. I'd rather be a hero than just read about them. You notice then she's carrying a big book with some kind of monster on the cover. That's my girl, says Chip, and it's so weird to think of him as a dad that you kind of want to laugh. But also, you know, it isn't the right moment for that. Come on, let's get this meeting started. Okay, so if you go the other route, if this other route even exists, where you just go to school and you meet Gabrielle on the first day of class, then, like, does it imply that she's Chip's daughter? He looks over at some adults standing in the shade of one of the trees. Let's get going. They nod, and all of you head into the shadows of the barn. There are half dozen other adults already inside, sitting on some folding chairs and a bench along one wall. It doesn't look super organized or anything, but you're just happy you don't have to face this rabbit on your own anymore. You and Gabrielle choose a pair of old barrels to sit on, and you both sit there dangling your legs and waiting for something to happen. What's going on? You whisper to Gabrielle. We're just waiting for the leader, it's all good, she reassures you. Oh, I thought your dad was the leader. She shakes her head. Just as she does, a shadow materializes in the wide open barn doorway. First, just a pair of legs, then a torso, then a pair of long, tall ears. The rabbit walks inside. You want to make a run for it, and you wonder why everyone is still sitting there like that. There it is, says Gabrielle. Who? The leader, of course. Okay, so your dad is the leader, but he's been replaced by the rabbit? What? Okay. If you guys ever see me looking over here, it's because I'm writing down what page we're on before I make a decision. Wow! This last, chapter, this bit has been crazy. Like, what's even going on anymore? Okay, so we're gonna call him out for being the rabbit. Wow. What are you talking about, Oz? That's Chip. He's walking over to the rabbit, hand extended, as he turns and says that to you. Right there! It's right there! You point at the rabbit and it just stares back at you. For a creature that has zero expression on its face, it's amazing how well you can read it. Right now it appears satisfied, smugged. Oz, man, are you okay? asks Chip. He and the rabbit shake hands and Chip makes some kind of quiet apology to it. Now you know for sure that Chip is all grown up. He's doing that dismissive things adults do when they talk to each other to reassure each other that the kid that's acting weird is no big deal. Except this is a huge deal. You can't believe this is happening to you. Not here. Not now. That's the rabbit, you say to Gabrielle. She's looking at you all weird, but she isn't being like the other grown-ups. She's actually listening. How can you tell? She asks. I mean, look at it. You gesture toward the figure and she looks. I don't get it. It's in a yellow rabbit costume, for crying out loud. Everyone is staring at you now, even the people behind you, and you can feel their eyes on you. You refuse to feel silly. You aren't losing your mind. After all, these people have gathered to take down the rabbit, so surely they know he exists. You just have to get them to see it somehow. I just see a guy, replied Gabrielle. She looks at you again, and now she looks worried. If even Gabrielle can't see it. You feel a heavy hand on your shoulder and turn quickly. A woman in a dark green tank top and camouflage paint is looking at you severely. Come with me, she says. You look at Gabrielle, who doesn't seem to know what to do. She looks just as lost as you feel. Go with Ava, says Chip. I'm sorry, Oz, but maybe time travel has messed with your mind a little bit. We can't have you just having these outbursts when we have a mission to accomplish. So unless Ava's a character from a Fazbear Fright story I haven't read, she might be original to this, I'm not entirely sure. What does that mean? Are you going to kill me? You sit there, defiant, not ready to go anywhere. Chip sputters and holds his hand up. Kill you? What? Of course not. We just need to keep you safe until the mission's done. Ava? The woman behind you grabs under your arms to lift you off the barrel, and she is very strong. You realize fighting it will only make things harder for you. Okay, I'm coming, you say. You get up and are led down to the other end of the barn, past all the people staring at you as you go. They think you're crazy. You worry a little bit that you are. Ava takes you to a small storage room with no windows, just a single light bulb dangling from the center of the ceiling. You step inside. Well, this is fun. Sorry, kid. I'll come get you when we've completed the mission and take you home, she says. She closes the door behind her and you can hear her lock it with a clang on the other side. Well, this is just fantastic, isn't it? You wander around for a bit, full of angry, nervous energy, and finally you start to feel a little tired, so you sit on the cold cement floor. You have no idea how much time has passed, if it's day or night, if they've left for the mission yet or not. You just wait, and wait, and wait, and then you hear the clang of the locks, and the doors open slowly. You jump to your feet. You are so ready to explain and just get the heck out of there. In enters the rabbit. You stumble backwards, tripping over your feet. You fall hard onto the cement ground. The rabbit looms over you and stares down. It raises its hands and ticks its fingers back and forth the way you would at a naughty child. Then it opens its mouth wide, and wider, and wider. It unhinges its jaw, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. It lunges at you. Game over. Okay, so we're going to rewind to page 128. Okay, so this is where we're going to not say that it's the rabbit. We're just going to sit here and watch. You sit there in stunned silence as Chip greets the rabbit, giving its hand a hearty shake. You continue to sit as Chip starts the meeting with the rabbit standing right beside him. Tonight we head to Jeff's and make a final stand, Chip is saying, but you barely hear it because all you can do is stare at the rabbit. And the rabbit definitely stares right back. It appears smug, like it's won something. But it hasn't, you think to yourself. Not yet. There's a huge cheer from the gathered crowd, including Gabrielle beside you, and you are quick to join in the applause. Everyone is up on their feet now, talking with one another, making plans for tonight, looking over maps, and finalizing weapons. You see several spiked baseball bats, some rope, pitchforks, which makes sense seeing as you are in a barn, even if there are no animals. Chip is loading a rifle, which makes you feel uneasy, but none of it will do anything if the adults don't understand that the rabbit is among them. It is literally leading them. You need to talk to the only other kid in the room. Come with me, you whisper to Gabrielle as you grab her sleeve. She looks confused and concerned, but she follows you to a back corner behind a stack of oil drums. What's wrong? You're going to think I'm crazy, but your leader is the rabbit. You peer through a crack in the stack of drums to keep an eye on it. The rabbit is talking to a woman in a green tank top and camouflage pants. That's Ava. Or rather, she's talking to it. The rabbit is just standing and staring at her, expressionless. Gabrielle joins you to peek. How do you know? Okay, so in this continuity, if one of the MCI kids' names is Gabriel, it's possible that Chip named his daughter after the victim, which answers that question, which is a question I had when I read into the Pith story about why Scott would have a character named Gabrielle in a story where Gabriel is an important name. Anyway, continuing. Because it's dressed like a rabbit, you say. You look at her carefully. Does she seriously not see it? It looks like a man to me. You feel your heart sink. But everything my dad said about how clever the rabbit is, I wouldn't put it past it to disguise itself like this. It feels so good to be believed that you just want to give her a big hug, but that would be weird, considering you've only just met. I wonder why you can see it as its true self, she adds. You shake your head. I have no idea. Maybe it's because I time traveled? You time traveled? She looks seriously impressed. Yeah, that's how I met your dad. My dad? Yeah, we met in 1985 when I time traveled. He was just a kid, our age. It doesn't feel like this is the time to explain all this. That's crazy. You shrug. It's weird. When everything in your life is crazy, it all starts to feel very normal. So, she says after you say nothing, what should we do? Okay, we're gonna tackle the rabbit, or we do nothing. So this entire storyline is weird, because, like, this can't be the ending of the story. Right? Like, the true ending has to be that we go in and save the dad in the ball pit. Unless, like, okay, my thought is that this is the fake ending. It's gonna be a happy ending, we kill the rabbit, save the world, whatever. And then we get the golden ticket, and then it's like, play the story over with the golden ticket, and then we get the canon ending. Because the canon ending of FNAF games is never really the happy ones. This is weird. Okay, we're just gonna wait and see what the rabbit does. We can't do anything. The adults won't believe us. Trust me, I've tried. I think we have to wait and see what happens. Hopefully the rabbit will slip up, you say. It's unsatisfying, but you know it's the right thing. It's not like you can just take this crazy rabbit by yourselves. And you are in a room with a bunch of adults and weapons. Surely at some point that might help. Yeah, and it would be dangerous. I mean, I'm not even supposed to be here. I was supposed to be at school, replies Gabrielle. Yeah, me too. And for some reason, even though it's not the point of everything happening, you ask, what school do you go to? We just moved, so it was going to be my first day, Westbrook Middle School. You can't help but laugh. That's my school! Oh, funny. I guess we would have met there, huh? You nod, and you wonder if in a different universe, what would have happened if you just met her as a friend during a normal day under normal circumstances. Okay, again, because I don't know what's going to happen in this book. Is that going to be an possible path that we take? Or is the alternate universe the main series books? How weird, quote, normal seems now. Let's just wait it out and see what happens, you say. But let's make sure not to go anywhere alone. We don't want it to corner us or anything. I think we're safe as long as there are other people around. Makes sense. And that's what you do. You make your way from your little hiding spot back out into the open. You're trying to be as chill as possible, just looking at everything everyone is doing. You wander over to the woman in green and look down at the blueprints to Jeff's pizza she's studying. You see the ball pit in the corner. That should be our primary focus, you say. She looks at you. That's where the rabbit comes from. That's the portal to another time. She looks at you even harder. Just, trust me on that one, you say, and slowly back away from her. You see her turn back to the blueprints and make a mark on the spot you pointed out with a pen. Well, at least she's listening to you, even if she thinks you're crazy. You wander over to Chip and his weapons. You pick up a bat. It's weighted down with the barbed wire wrapped around it. You are reminded how terrible you are at gym class. You okay? Asks Chip. A little nervous, honestly. You put down the bat. You pick up a length of rope. I don't want, like, a weapon or anything. You don't? Why not? And I wouldn't let you have one anyway. Then why is he here? You can't help but laugh. It's weird, you acting like an adult with me. Protective, you know? Chip grimaces. I guess. Just remember, I didn't actually time travel. I've lived the last few decades in real time. I've grown up. There's something harsh in the way he says grown up, but you can't tell if he is telling you off or he's mad about getting older. You can't really tell what's going on at all anymore. Totally, you reply. You put down the rope and wander over to another group of adults sitting and talking in a small circle. You feel safe keeping your back to the wall surrounded by adults, but you always keep an eye on the rabbit's whereabouts. You think it is probably doing likewise with you. Time passes and the sun starts to set. You can't believe you've been here all day. There's a shift in the energy then, and you sense that time is coming soon. Time for action. Alright everyone, let's do this, Chip announces loudly to the group. Everyone is up on their feet, finalizing plans and grabbing weapons. Gabrielle runs over to you and looks at you with wide eyes. Yup, it's happening. What is happening? What will happen? That's a whole other question. Oz, Gabrielle, you're with me, says Chip, approaching. You'll stay in the car. Dad, we can help, insists Gabrielle, but you're not exactly upset to be left out of things. No, Gabrielle. As you follow Chip to the car, you run a little to step in next to him. Hey, can you make sure to look for my dad? You ask. Chip nods. It's just, he's in the ball pit somewhere. It's bigger than you think it is. It's like a whole pool, or maybe even the size of a lake. You really need to search. Chip holds open the back seat door for you, and Gabrielle hops in. He isn't making eye contact with you. Chip, dude, you say. Chip looks down at you now. Please, my dad. He looks at you and you don't exactly know what he's thinking. Finally, he nods. After we take care of the rabbit, we'll find your dad. Thanks. Now, get in. You jump in besides Gabrielle. The woman in the green tank top gets in the passenger side up front, and Chip is in the driver's seat. Soon you are leading a caravan of cars and trucks down the twisting driveway. In the dark, every new bend in the road that materializes in the glow of the headlights feels like a threat, like something is ready to jump out at you. You turn around in your seat and squint through the headlights of the car behind you. You can't make out much, but you can see the silhouette of the rabbit in the passenger seat. It is just sitting there, just staring forward like it always does. You turn around again. "You okay?" asks Gabrielle quietly. You nod, but you so aren't. You have a sinking feeling that this is some kind of trap, that you are all doomed. You arrive in town and pull up in front of Jeff's Pizza. The plan starts the moment the engines stop. Everyone barrels out of their cars and into Jeff's, weapons raised. "We know you're in there," Chip calls out. You watch from inside the car as the rabbit walks inside after him. "No, this is too much. This is too dangerous. You can't just let this happen." You fling open your passenger side door and race after Chip. "Oz!" you hear Gabrielle cry. You know you're supposed to stay behind, but you have to do something. Anything. You walk into the restaurant and see a very surprised Jeff standing behind his counter. He makes eye contact with you for a moment and you don't know what to say. "Jeff, get into the kitchen," orders Chip. Jeff kind of just stands there in his usual kind of way. "Now!" Chip turns and yells at him. That definitely sparks action in the pizza chef, and Jeff sprints into the kitchen. "Where is it?" asks Ava in the dark green tank top. She's looking around, alert and holding her weapon in front of her. She must have some kind of army training or something. "It's right there," you want to say as you watch the rabbit watch them. It's just standing there, over by its usual door, that stupid door that the mascot loves to hover around. But they can't see it. You look around at everyone, willing someone, anyone to notice the rabbit. Your eyes fall onto the ball pit. Wait, what are you doing? You realize suddenly that this is your moment. You let them all hunt for the rabbit while you save Dad. You rush over to the ball pit and jump in without a pause. You sink into the giant pool of balls and somehow they feel oddly comforting. They are the one familiar thing in a day of insanity. You reach around into the balls trying to feel for Dad. He's got to be here somewhere. He's got to be. You feel something hard with your hand. A shoe, attached to a foot. You reach farther, attached to a leg. It has to be Dad. You found him. Then there's a sudden blood-curdling scream, and you pull yourself up out of the pit to see what has happened. To your horror, the rabbit has attacked Chip, biting his head right off. Chip's body falls limp to the side. Ava screams again and this time fires off her weapon just as two other men rush the rabbit from behind with baseball bats. The rabbit whirls and flails, and you stand up in the pit. You are overwhelmed by the chaos, and another shot rings out. Suddenly you feel something warm spread across your middle, and you look down. You see blood, and you reach out your hand to your stomach. The blood oozes around your fingertips. More shots fired. More chaos. You slip down into the pit. You are in shock. Nothing hurts. You lie back. You let the balls cover you for good. You get shot by accident? Ava, the army veteran, shoots you in the ball pit? This book is crazy. This is definitely the best reading we've done so far. The best chapter of this little adventure. I think the last page 141 was our last choice. Okay, so we have the option of tackling the rabbit while we're in the barn before any of that happens. So Oz and Gabrielle are going to attack the rabbit. We have to take down the rabbit. We can't let it manipulate all these people. Whatever it is planning, it's evil. I know that for sure. Gabrielle nods. I agree. But how do we take it down? You look around the room from your hiding spot and see the rope on the ground with the other weapons. Maybe we can trap it, and then we can figure it out from there. Maybe if we tie it up, we can convince your dad and everyone else that this is the rabbit. It'll buy us some time at least. Yeah, that makes sense. Plus, I don't really think I'm up to killing anyone. You agree. That's kind of a crazy thought. And even though this rabbit has killed a bunch of kids and done something terrible to your dad, you just don't think you are ready for that either. Maybe in self-defense, but even then, the idea of ending a life is super heavy and just a bit too real for you to even contemplate this carefully. So let's get some rope, and then we need to find a moment when the rabbit is alone, you say. But we'd better have the rope at the ready. Totally. You make your way from your little hiding spot back out into the open. You're trying to be as chill as possible, just looking at everything everyone is doing. You wander over to the woman in green and look down at the blueprints of Jeff's Pizza she is studying. You see the ball pit in the corner. That should be our primary focus, you say. She looks at you. We read all this already. Does this just... No, okay, so this is just a big copy-paste from earlier. You meet back up with Gabrielle, who's managed to grab some duct tape. Awesome, you say. Yeah, I figure duct tape is useful for all kinds of situations. Absolutely. You smile at each other. Now what? She asks. Now we wait. And that's exactly what you do. You wait and you watch until you're starting to feel a little bored. You understand why in the movies, cops drink so much coffee on their stakeouts. You definitely need artificial help to stay vigilant when nothing is happening. But finally, you see the rabbit cross away from the group and head toward an exit on the side of the building. You nudge Gabrielle, who nods back. The two of you stick to the shadows and creep along the edge of the barn, following it. You hold the rope so tight in your hand you can feel it scratching away the skin on your palms. You can do this. You can do this! You and Gabrielle follow the rabbit outside to a small dirt courtyard. It's empty except for a few piles of bricks in the corner. The rabbit's back is to you, and you wonder for a moment what it's thinking. Does it even think? No, stop it, you have to act. The time is now. Now! You shout. You rush at the rabbit and aim for its lower half. It's too big to take down on your own, but if you can unbalance it and have it fall, well, that's a good start. You and Gabrielle tackle the rabbit together, and it falls hard face first onto the ground. You quickly reach the rope around its neck, and its head suddenly turns 180 degrees to stare right back up at you, causing you to flinch. That brief moment sets you off balance, and suddenly the rabbit has overpowered the two of you, and you are the ones now on the dusty ground. You lie there in horror and see its jaw unhinge and its mouth open wide, producing a set of razor-sharp teeth. You and Gabrielle scream at the same time. Your screams are silenced by the slicing of teeth into flesh. Game over. Okay, so no matter what you do, you die here. If you try to join the Avengers, you die. You are Quicksilver. The last time we had a decision was page 118, so let's go. I don't even remember what that was. We did this decision actually. If you don't get in Chip's car, you get hit by a car. If you do, you get set on this path of joining the Avengers and you die. So that really means the last choice we had was on page 68. Okay, so this is when you're back at breakfast. This is where this entire video started. You're at breakfast, and you can play along and say that the rabbit is dad, or you can accuse the rabbit of not being dad. If you accuse the rabbit of not being dad, you can run next door and die from Chica, or you can run to Jeff's. All the paths going to Jeff's get you hit by a car, except for the one where you join Chip. If you join Chip, all the paths have you die. So, the only thing we can do is play along that the rabbit is dad. You manage to swallow a few bites of breakfast sitting opposite the rabbit. It doesn't do anything, it just sits there reading the paper. Mom chats happily with it, though, explaining her plan for the day and talking about how exciting it is that their son is going into 6th grade. Of course, the rabbit doesn't respond, but she reacts as if it does. So this is actually something I've wondered since the original story and the game, where, like, if people are hearing it say things, she laughs as if it has told a hilarious joke. What the heck? You finish breakfast and go upstairs to get ready for school. You tell yourself that at least it's a way to get out of the house and away from the crazy rabbit. But how can you just go about a regular first day at school with everything that's happening to you? And why can't you just run away? Go to the police maybe, or even just a neighbor. Anyone could help, but then again, you tell yourself, if Mom sees the rabbit as dad and Jeff sees the rabbit as dad, well, maybe all adults do. Maybe only kids and cats can see the truth. The rabbit drives you to school, and you feel so alone and lost. Why is it doing this? What is its plan? If it wants to kill you, then it should just kill you. Why does it want to be dad of all people? Boring, cheap, tries too hard, loves stupid movies and terrible country music, just wants to have an okay summer dad. That's just me, fam. They're just describing me. I'm Oz's dad. Man, you miss him, and man, you feel guilty for getting so mad at him this summer. You'd be so happy to have an argument with him right now, and not be sitting in strange silence next to this decaying rabbit mascot. The fur looks even more matted and stained than yesterday, if that's possible. It drops you off at school, and you wonder if any of the other kids can see the mascot in the car. But no one is paying attention. They're all excited to be back and hugging one another and catching up for the summer. You have no one to catch up with, so you walk to class alone. You sit at the desk second from the back on the right side, the same location you sit at in every classroom for every class every year. But there's no Ben on your left to talk to. You instinctively pull out your notebook, but you realize you can't even draw or doodle anymore. Those Animal Band characters are now real, even if they're not like real. You saw them. You time traveled. Kids watched them play their little animatronic songs. 5 dead kids in a storage room. 5 dead kids, and into the pit it was 6 dead kids. Interesting. Head lolling to the side, empty dead eyes. You shove the notebook back in your bag and try to listen to the lesson instead. It's nothing you don't already know about integers, but it's better than thinking about the past or home. At lunch, you wander over to the old swing set at the far end of the schoolyard. No one ever hangs out there. The grass is all overgrown, and the grounds crew seem to have forgotten it exists. But now someone is sitting on one of the swings, a girl you've never seen before. Hi, you say. You're not sure if you should sit or not. The girl looks up at you and smiles. Hi, I'm Gabrielle. I'm new. I'm Oswald. You don't know what else to say. It's nice to meet you. She seems happy about that, even though she's all the way over here on her own, as if she's trying to avoid people. It's weird these are the only swings, huh? Yeah, they came and tore down the old jungle gym 2 years ago for safety reasons, you say. Now it's just the slide and that climbing rock thing. You both look back toward the school where everyone is hanging out and playing. Well, it's okay. I like to read during lunch anyway, she says. You notice the book on her lap. Oh, sorry, I'll leave you alone. You feel instantly guilty for bugging her. No, it's nice to have company and to make a new friend. Sit. She really seems to mean it. Say something, Oswald. you tell yourself. Be friendly. What's the book about? Gabrielle beams at the question and holds the book up so you can see the cover. Gods and Monsters is written across it in big bold letters, and there's a picture of a giant monster with many heads on long snake-like necks looming over a small figure in the foreground. The figure is holding up a sword to battle it. It's about Greek myths. It's so cool. She points to the picture of the cover. This is the Hercules myth that I just finished reading, about him fighting the Hydra, and now I've started reading about Theseus. Her excitement is infectious, and for the first time since you saw the rabbit at the kitchen table, you feel a little happy. You want to know more. You can ask her to tell you about Theseus, or ask her to tell you about Hercules and the Hydra. Alright, so I think in the main story, she tells you about heroes and that inspires you, whereas asking about the Hydra might tell you how to defeat the bad guy. So we're gonna go Hydra first, because I think that's the wrong path. That's really cool. Hercules fought that crazy looking monster, you ask? You've obviously heard of Hercules before. He's some kind of ancient hero. Plus, there are like a million movies about him. But you realize you don't actually know much about the guy, just his name, really. You lean in to look more closely at the book's cover. The monster makes you think a bit about those old kaiju movies Dad likes so much. You feel a pit in your stomach when you remember what happened to him. You feel extra worse for that one small moment you actually forgot about it. That's maybe the worst part about horrible things happening. Life also happens. And sometimes, life makes you forget the horrible thing, and then that just makes you feel super guilty. I'm going to take a point of order here to be pretty serious and not really talk about the book. But everyone in life is always going to go through something. You're always going to have a hard time, something tragic's going to happen, and you're going to feel bad. And then exactly this kind of thing is going to happen. You're going to be sad, you're going to feel like you're supposed to be sad, and then you're going to hear a joke, and you're going to laugh. You're going to watch some old sitcom on TV, and it's going to take your mind off things. And then your mind's going to go back to the sad thing, and you're going to feel guilty about forgetting it, as if the thing that you should be doing is feeling sad that it happened. And that's just the wrong mindset to be in. If you're sad, if you're going through something hard, and something can bring levity or distraction to you for even a moment, that's a good thing. If something can make you laugh when you're tragically depressed, that's good, and you should never feel guilty about forgetting about something like the loss of a loved one or some worldwide tragedy that's going on. It's understandable that Oz feels this way, and a lot of people do feel that way, but if you ever find yourself in that situation, you should not feel guilty for feeling like that. Try to look for the happiness, try to look for the light, try to do things to distract yourself, and just try to find things that make you smile and happy. Back to the funny jump scare bear game. Yeah, Hercules has all these challenges he has to do, and one of them is fighting a Hydra that regrows its head when he chops them off. It feels impossible to defeat it, but then he thinks his strategy through and realizes he has to solder the nets shut with fire so they don't grow back. He was a warrior, but also a super cool problem solver. She's really into telling you all these details, and her enthusiasm is contagious. I really like that, you say, and you smile at each other. Could it be you've just made a new friend? The bell rings and lunch is over. You walk back to the school building together, agreeing to make your lunch hang a regular thing. It's really nice to know that even with Ben gone, you can make a new friend, and someone who actually lives in your time. Shoot, that pit in the stomach feeling is back. Dad, gone. Rabbit, at home. Kids, dead. Why does your life have to be a living nightmare? Why can't you ever just be a normal kid? I have a feeling that the other story, if we'd picked to learn about Theseus, would meet up with us right here. The school day ends too quickly. Okay, we're on page 78. We're gonna ask her about Theseus. Huh, I've never heard of Theseus before. I don't think. Who's that, you ask? You've obviously heard of Hercules, and he's been in a ton of movies and stuff, but this guy? No idea. I guess he's not as well known as Hercules, agrees Gabrielle, and you smile. It's nice to have a kind of normal conversation, even though it's also really weird to have a normal conversation when everything in your life is anything but. Yeah. Well, from what I understand so far, Theseus was tasked with killing a minotaur at the center of this huge, cavernous maze called a labyrinth. A minotaur? A monster with a bull for a head and a human body, she explains. You can't help but think of your monster with a rabbit for a head. Oh, cool, but it doesn't actually feel like it is. Anyway, Theseus becomes friends with the princess, Ariadne, and she gives him a string that he can unwind as he travels in the maze so he doesn't get lost. That's all I've read so far, but I think it's really interesting. She's super into telling you all this, and her enthusiasm is contagious. I really like that, you say, and you smile at each other. Could it be you've made a new friend? I like that string idea. It's super simple, but really smart. Sometimes simple is the best solution. The bell rings and lunch is over. You walk back to the school building together, agreeing to make your lunch hang a regular thing. It's really nice to know that even with Ben gone, you can still make a new friend and someone who actually lives in your time. Shoot, that pit in your stomach feeling is back. Dad gone, rabbit at home, kids dead. Why's your life have to be a living nightmare? Why can't you just be a normal kid? Is this going to bring us to page 78? Yes, okay, so both of them link up. So in one of them we learn string, like with, it's like a Hansel and Gretel, like you have a string, okay. but neither of them has a permanent change in the book. It's not like you get an inventory item like you did in VIP. So I guess this is just for like flavoring. So like we can think about stuff. Okay, so we're now on the one path that remains to us. The only pages that we haven't revisited are 17, 46, and 107, which I think like require other pieces that we don't have. The school day ends all too quickly. As the clock ticks away above the door, you realize that very soon you'll have to return to your house in the whole rabbit situation. That Dad is still missing, and you've done absolutely nothing to find him. You've wasted a day relearning all the things you supposedly forgot over the summer, except you never did. You should have skipped the first day back and just gone right to Jeff's after the rabbit dropped you off. That would have been the smart decision. No, it wouldn't have, because you would have been hit by a car. Man, you've never felt quite so stupid as you have these past 24 hours. As you walk down the front steps of your school, you hope that maybe Dad will appear to pick you up, or maybe no one will come and you can walk home, or run away, or something. But sure enough, there it is, that terrifying rabbit, waiting for you at the drop-off spot, sitting behind the wheel of the car. This time, the place is swarming with kids, and you look around to see if any of them notice the rabbit in the driver's seat, but no one seems to notice. Or at the very least, seems to care. You feel like a rabbit mascot in a car would be a big hit for kids, and you think maybe this means that only you can see it. Maybe you are the only one who is meant to, or maybe you truly are going crazy. How do you know if you're just seeing things? How do you know if anything is real? You don't exactly have time to think about that kind of thing, and you're still trying to keep the creature as calm as possible, so you get in the car and let it drive you home. The second you get inside, you dash up to your room, shut the door behind you, and this time drag your desk in front of it for good measure. You throw your backpack on the bed and land beside it with a similar thump. You lie there for a moment, trying to think what you should do. Your mind is a blank. You decide to reach for your bag and maybe try to do homework or something. Anything to get your brain working again. You open your bag. Okay, we can do homework, we can put on the bunny ears, we can look at the flashlight, and that's it. Alright, we're gonna do our homework. So you lie there. You let your eyes get fuzzy and you let all your thoughts wash over you. You don't grab at any in particular. You just sort of watch them as they float by. You're kind of tired of your thoughts. If you're honest, you'd be really happy not to think for a while. Time passes and your stomach rumbles. It must be getting close to dinner time. And living nightmare or not, you're still a human who needs to eat. Do rabbit mascots need to eat? You shake off the thought and sit up. Okay, you'll go downstairs, just quickly eat something. You need to save your strength to survive all this. So, you push your desk chair to the side, open your door and go downstairs to the kitchen. The rabbit has heated up some microwave dinners that your family only eats for emergencies. Another clear sign that this is so not your dad. If the whole large yellow rabbit mascot thing wasn't evidence enough. Hey, you say, trying to be chill and feeling anything but. Of course, the rabbit doesn't say anything back. You glance down its open mouth, hoping to see the person inside the costume. Once again, but all you see is blackness. You eat your food, then you wonder if anyone has given anything to Jinx in a while. You couldn't imagine the rabbit would. You wonder if she's come out from hiding at all today. Just going to take some milk up to Jinx, you say as if the rabbit cares. You head back upstairs, careful not to spill the milk. Jinx slinks up to you from her hiding spot, and you and she go into the safety of your room. You put the bowl down for her and she laps at it hungrily. Yup, it seems everyone is a little hungry right now. Stupid rabbit. Stupid, terrifying, horrific rabbit. You feel the spark deep inside you flare up again. It's the field. You can't live another day like this. It's too crazy and too awful. You have to save Dad. Tonight, you'll sneak out and save him. That's all there is to it. You'll do it tonight, late, when Mom and that thing are asleep. You'll sneak out and rescue Dad and everything will be okay again. Time passes stupidly, slowly, and you can't even get any sleep. Anytime you do try to close your eyes, sudden flashes of the animatronic band rush forward into your brain, like the worst kind of horror movie jump scare. So you just lie there staring at the ceiling, straining your ears to hear sounds from below, waiting for complete silence. You look at the clock, it's 10 p.m, that's late enough. You sit up and grab at your backpack, since that's what you usually do. If you have a pair of bunny ears in your backpack here, if you don't have the pair of your ears, do that. We do have the ears, but so I'm guessing that not having the ears will kill us, so we're gonna not use the ears. It's time to go. Stop procrastinating. The house has been still and silent for forever now, and the longer you wait, the more you risk something weird happening. You put the bag down and get up carefully and quietly. You have no idea where the rabbit is in the house, but you know it wouldn't be happy with you rescuing your dad. Hopefully, it's still asleep in Dad's room. Regardless, you need to be sneaky. You tiptoe across your room to the door and see that Jinx has fallen asleep in front of it. A very cute, if useless, guard. She's in a tight little ball, holding the tip of her tail between her two front paws. You can't help but smile. You don't want to bother her. Okay, we can go around her or step over her. I don't know, Bam. Let's go around her. As you step to the side, you accidentally step onto Jinx's milk bowl. Shoot, you totally forgot about it. You trip and fall onto the floor, spilling milk everywhere. The soggy wetness seeps into your socks and jeans. Jinx wakes up with a yowl and runs away to hide under your bed. Great, just great. You've made a mess, but you're definitely not about to cry over spilt milk. Womp womp. Should you get changed before you try to sneak out? It seems like a lot of work to do in the moment. You decide to continue with your plan and push against the floor to stand up. Before you can even get to your feet, the door to your room flings open. The rabbit is there. It's heard the commotion. It stares down at you. It knows you are up to something. Hi? You say, trying to sound casual as possible. It stares for a moment longer. Then suddenly it opens its mouth wide. So wide it unhinges its jaw like a snake. You still can't see the person in the suit, but you see a row of sharp, razor sharp teeth. It always says razor sharp teeth. Other things are sharp than razors. You can just say other kinds of things that are sharp. You cry out and raise your arms to save yourself, but they do nothing to protect you as the rabbit attacks. Game over. Okay, we're going to step over Jinx. I have a feeling this will also kill us. Oh no, it doesn't. Jinx wakes up and blinks sleepily as you pass over her. She looks a little annoyed that you've woken her up. She slumps off to go sleep safely under the bed. You're happy she's hiding herself. You don't want to have to worry about her safety too. Well, when it comes to Jinx, maybe the rabbit should be the worried one. She's little, but she can be scrappy. It's one of the many things you love about her. You turn back toward the door and take a deep breath. Then you carefully turn the doorknob and pull your door open inch by inch, slowly and carefully. You're proud that you don't make a sound as you enter the hallway. You just have to keep this up for a little longer. Take things one step at a time and make it downstairs. You walk slowly down the hall toward the top of the staircase, but then notice the bathroom. If you decide to use the bathroom before you leave here, if you skip the bathroom, head down the stairs. Is there another option? No. I don't know, guys. I guess we're gonna go to the bathroom. You head quietly to the bathroom, but once you're in there, you change your mind and realize you don't really want to risk using it because it'll make a noise flushing the toilet and running the tap. They might be normal nighttime noises, but right now you actually think any noise is probably a bad idea. You don't want the rabbit to even remember you are in the house at all, let alone question if your late-night bathroom habits are sincere or not. You take a moment to gather yourself and plan your next move. You stare at your reflection in the mirror on the medicine cabinet. I like how he just doesn't think that maybe he can not flush the toilet or wash his hands. You didn't turn the bathroom light on, so you are lit from the side by the street light outside the window. It creates weird shadows across your face. You look tired, but also not like you, like a weird distorted monster version of you. You shake your head to rid it of the thought and quickly open the medicine cabinet to hide from the mirror. All the usual stuff is there. Toothpaste, toothbrushes, Tylenol, Dad's razor, and Jinx's syringes and medicine that you give her to make her sleep when you are traveling long distances with her. She gets really anxious and upset otherwise. Poor thing. You sigh and close the medicine cabinet door and head downstairs. You have an idea that maybe you could use Jinx's medicine on the rabbit. I have a feeling that's not going to go well. Let's do that one. As quietly as possible, so quiet that it makes every small sound echo loudly like a rock tossed on a hollow wall, you creep into your parents' bedroom. There's the rabbit lying on the bed, its head on Dad's pillow. Mom still hasn't come home from the hospital. It must have been a tough shift. You look at the rabbit carefully, trying to examine the situation. It's really hard to assess what's up with the mascot. They always look exactly the same, and their eyes don't close when they sleep. But the rabbit is unmoving, and its breathing seems slow and measured. Maybe it actually is asleep? How can you know for sure? You're suddenly not so confident about your plan. The idea of entering the room, crossing over to your dad's side of the bed, and stabbing this creature with a syringe seems incredibly stupidly dangerous now. Do you try to drug the rabbit, regardless of your fear? Yeah, of course we are. You take in a deep breath and release it very slowly, through your mouth. You can do this. But you have only one shot at this, literally and metaphorically. So you need to be patient and take your time. One foot in front of the other, step by step, you carefully walk over to Dad's side of the bed. Being this close to the rabbit makes your stomach clench and your pulse quicken. You can also now smell that weird, stale, moldy scent that seems to live in that terrible matted yellow costume. It makes you a little dizzy and nauseated, but you are focused. You raise your hand over your head and aim the syringe right at the rabbit's heart, or at least where you hope a heart is. Does such a monster have a heart? Literally, metaphorically. You bring your hand down fast, but suddenly the rabbit has you by the wrist and sits up in one quick motion, relieving you of the syringe with its other hand. You cry out and try to wrench your arms free, but it has you tight in its grasp. You pull and pull, and the rabbit tackles you off the bed and onto the floor. You are pinned beneath it. It's the rabbit's turn to pull its hand back high over your chest with the syringe. No! You cry out, but it's too late. You feel the sharp stabbing pain of the syringe piercing your chest. You open your eyes wide and gasp, and then you feel a heaviness overtake you. You close your eyes to sleep. You never wake up. Hey, at least it's a more creative death than being hit by a car for the 18th time. Okay, so we're going to not stab it. You assess the staircase in front of you as it disappears into the dark void of downstairs. Has it always had this many stairs? Has it always looked this steep? Why does a simple set of stairs you've used every day your whole life suddenly look like some imitating obstacle out of a high-level video game? And how are you supposed to approach going down them without making a sound and drawing the attention of the freaky rabbit? Okay, so I'm guessing that a couple different paths are probably going to lead us right here. If you decide to go down them as quickly as you can, go here. If you keep with the plan of taking everything slow, go here. I wonder what our options would be if we had the flashlight. Okay, we're going to go really slowly. Slow and steady wins the race, that's what they say, right? You realize in that moment the saying actually comes from an old fable about the tortoise and the hare, about them racing, about how even the hare is quick, the tortoise's slow determination makes him the winner. Well, how perfect is that then? You'll be the tortoise to defeat the rabbit. See, this goes back to my thing about, like, these books all being written not by ghostwriters, but by, like, different authors, with, like, Scott and Scholastic overseeing it. Because this whole thing about the tortoise and the hare was also done in VIP. We've had 3 stories in the series, and 2 of them have been like, well, haha, the tortoise and the hare is relevant to this situation. Okay? It's like where in Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange 2, they both make jokes about Spider-Man shooting web out of his butt because I guess the writers of each movie thought the joke was funny and didn't see the other person's script while they were developing them. It's bad. Just don't do that. Just, like, change it. Just take this line out because we already used it in the other story. It's silly. You just need to take the stairs one by one, step by step, and you'll be outside in no time. Shouldn't be too hard, you hope. But as you take the first step down, you hear an all too familiar creak. It's funny how a creaky staircase is meaningless to the point that you totally forget it's a thing, and then suddenly it could become literally life and death. You turn your head quickly to see if the rabbit heard you. There's no one there. Just a deep blackness of shadow. You release a sigh and take another slow step. The creak starts the second you place your toe on it. You complete the step, and the creaking finally finishes, and you stare there perfectly still, waiting for the inevitable attack. Nothing. You dare to look over your shoulder. There in the dark is a familiar silhouette. The rabbit! You turn and face downstairs. What do? You can run forward or freeze in place. Well, we're supposed to freeze in place like a rabbit in headlights, right? That's a thing? No, it's not. We're gonna freeze in place. You stand perfectly still. You hold your body so tight that you can feel it start to ache from the effort. You're nervous that you are so stiff you might keel over and tumble down the stairs. You grip the railing tightly. You will not move. You will not move an inch. You are so determined to hold your breath, you will your pulse to slow down even as it races on without your permission. You are a statue. You are furniture. You hear the rabbit slowly move towards you. It is being careful, methodical, taking steps one by one now, slow and steady, winning the race. Of course, the race was won by the tortoise, not the hare. Maybe that gives you an advantage? After all, you are the tortoise in this situation. You hear it come up right behind you. You can smell that musty, moldy smell from the matted yellow costume. You can hear it breathing. The fact that it can breathe at all unsettles you. Either a person truly is wearing this costume, which is a terrifying thought, or this is a living, breathing monster that looks like someone in a mascot costume, which is also petrifying. Either way, whatever this thing is, it seems to be alive. You stand there for what seems like hours. Finally, you hear the rabbit start to back away up the stairs, and the breathing sound vanishes. With effort, you can hear the sound of retreating footsteps, and yet you stay still, just to be safe, just for a moment longer. Finally, after probably too long, you release a sigh of relief. You are suddenly grabbed from behind by a pair of yellow arms. They're the last thing you ever feel or see. Game over. Okay, I guess we're gonna run down the steps. You race down the stairs. Forget being a tortoise, it's hair all the way now. But of course you manage to prove the saying true. In your haste and speed, you and your body are totally out of sync and you trip over yourself. You fall hard and then tumble down to the bottom. Everything hurts, but not nearly as bad as the feeling of the razor-sharp teeth that sink deep into your flesh. The rabbit has you in its grasp. Okay, so instead of going down super slow, we're gonna go down the stairs really quickly. You charge down the stairs into the dark below as fast as you can. Your footsteps sound crazy loud, and you almost tumble down the steps head first, but you manage to stay upright and land at the bottom. You stop yourself at the front door, standing as still as you can. You crane your neck to hear the rabbit's footsteps racing after you, coming in for the attack. But all you can hear is the thudding of your heart in your ears. You dare to glance over your shoulder. All you see is blackness at the top of the staircase. Your heart is still racing, though. What are you waiting for? It's time to get out of here. You reach for the doorknob and then pause. A horrific reminder hits your brain just in the nick of time. The front door makes this high-pitched squeak when you open it. It's always been a comforting sound, a sign your mom made it home safe late at night after a long shift. But tonight, it's a lot more ominous. And it could definitely attract the attention of a creepy rabbit. Maybe you should use the back door instead, but that could just waste precious minutes. Okay, so we can use the front door, which is squeaky, or take the time to cross the house. We're gonna take the front door. We're gonna be quick like a rabbit. Nope. You have no time to waste crossing the entire house. You'll just fling open the door super fast and make a run for it. That's all there is to it. You take a deep breath and hold it. You reach for the doorknob and turn it slowly until you hear the click of it unlocking. It sounds so loud it almost feels like it echoes. You need to speed up. You need to fling open the door, just like you'd planned. Just do it. Just do it. You yank open the door quickly, and the squeak it makes is so loud you almost jump at the sound. Did the rabbit hear too? You turn to see if it did, just as it launched itself at you, jaw unhinged like a snake with rows of razor-sharp teeth. Wow, the razor-sharp teeth are in a snake mouth again. We've never seen this imagery. Like, I know... No, actually, I take that back. I don't know. If you're gonna read this book, you're probably gonna do every single path. You cannot just copy and paste large pieces of text in different paths, and you should use different metaphors and similes and imagery. I don't know why the week before was so good at this, and even VIP was so good at this, but this one isn't. I don't get it. You feel sharp pain and cry out. It's unlike anything you felt before. I disagree, because I felt those razor-sharp teeth like 30 times in this book. Okay. We are going to go to the back door. You're getting kind of good at this going carefully and staying quiet thing as you move as quickly as you think is safe down the hall to the kitchen and then to the back door on your toes. You hold your breath as you open the door, but it's always been nice and quiet and doesn't let you down. No creaks here, thank goodness. You step out into the cool evening air and shut the door as carefully and quietly as possible, hoping it doesn't click too loudly. You glance up at the window on the second floor, the one belonging to Mom and Dad's room. Or Mom and the Rabbit's room now? No, that's just not a thing. And definitely won't be a thing after tonight. After you rescue Dad, you make your way down the side of the house to the street and then, well, then you start to run. You just turn right and race out into the dark street. You don't look behind you to see if the rabbit has figured out you've escaped yet. Instead, you just focus on the pools of light from the street lamps, dashing as fast as you can from one pool to the next, desperately avoiding the shadows. You've never been that great at gym class or anything, but the need to rescue Dad and your fear of the stupid rabbit keep you running the whole way to Jeff's. Coach Garcia would be proud. You don't really even realize you've run that far until you arrive outside Jeff's door. You're panting hard and sweat is pouring down your brow. Is this what it feels like to do sports? It's kind of exhilarating, you guess, but also kind of the worst. You try to catch your breath as you go inside Jeff's. You didn't actually worry it might be closed so late at night until you enter and realize, wow, Jeff stays open late. For what customers exactly, you wonder? But you're not going to question something that you are so grateful for. What would you have done if he'd been closed? Break a window? Unlikely. Jeff looks at you funny. We only serve whole pies at night, he says. Oh right, you need an excuse to be here. I just wanted a soda. Yeah, that's totally believable. What kid crosses town and shows up at a pizza place just to order a single soda? You inwardly roll your eyes at yourself. But Jeff just shrugs and goes back into the kitchen. Gotta put the next pie in the oven, I'll be back. Really, it's more than you could have asked for, because the second he disappears is the second you dash over to the ball pit. You stop yourself short, realizing you shouldn't just dive into it. You might be sent to 1985 in the murder restaurant, so you crouch down and leave over the edge of the pit, rummaging as much as you can through the balls. He has to be here. Surely he's in here. Your terrified dad is in 1985, and then what will you do? It's not working. You can't feel anything. You have no choice. You have to go into the pit. You have to follow tradition. If you end up in the past, well, hopefully Dad's there too. You dive into the pit and the balls cover you up, filling in any space and making you feel really claustrophobic in here for the first time. You think it's probably not about the ball pit itself. It's probably just you feeling trapped in the whole situation, a kind of metaphor. And then you realize you haven't started to count to 100 yet, and you really can't waste time thinking about all this stuff. So you start to count to 100, and you just tell yourself you won't climb out of the pit or anything. You will avoid the risk of 1985 and stay safe under here, and just keep looking for Dad. And when you find him, immediately count to 100 again. 100! You wait to hear the sounds of 1985. You hope for the beeps and dings of arcade games, but you fear the screams. Instead, you feel something hard against your back and you spin in place. You reach out for it. A boot! You reach along the boot and feel an ankle. The sensation when you discover it is like being electrocuted. Dad? Oh, you hope it is. There's a leg and a torso, and then you reach up for his face and hope it's a real one and not some stupid mascot head, and you take a deep breath. You feel skin and stubble. It seems so familiar. It has to be, Dad, it has to be. You quickly count to 100 again. Then it's time to get the two of you out of the pit. You've read stories about moms lifting whole cars off their kids, how adrenaline does crazy things to the human body. Heck, it made you run nonstop to Jeff's. But as you pull and pull out who you really hope is your dad, you are struck by your ability to rise to the service with him in your grasp. You emerge out of the ball pit, mercifully at Jeff's, and pull the body behind you. It's so heavy, yet somehow you're doing it. You drag the torso up above the balls. It feels impossible, but you do it. You turn to look at it. It's Dad! It's him! You found him! Oh, please don't be dead, Dad. I'm so sorry for all our fights. They were so stupid. You think all this as you pressed your head against his chest, listening for a heartbeat. You think you can hear it. You hope you can hear it, and it's not just you wanting it to be there. You sit up and look at Dad in the pit. How can you get him out of there and take him home? Jeff will probably find this all super weird, but he'd help, right? Well, it's hard to say, really. He might just shrug and then go back in the kitchen like he pretty much does with everything. You know you should probably call Mom. But will she be mad? After all, the last time you texted her, she didn't believe anything was wrong. Would it be the same now? The boy who cried rabbit? Suddenly, you're grabbed from behind by a pair of yellow fuzzy arms. You flail and twist and kick. You are picked up in the air and turned around, but your fighting back seems to have worked as it loses its grip on you. You escape and stare up, knowing full well what attacked you. The rabbit has found you. Not this time, rabbit! If you rush at it with your own attack, tap here. If you dive back into the pit, tap here. There's like a bajillion paths we didn't do. Like, technically, so this path, we didn't take the flashlight and we didn't put on the bunny ears. So this is the path of, like, taking the Freddy toy, I guess? So, like, this is the climax, but I have a feeling that no matter what we do, we're gonna have to lose, because this can't be the real climax. This can't be the best ending. We're gonna dive into the pit and die, probably. Yep. The ball pit becomes an infinite pool, colorful balls upon balls. There is no up, there is no down, there is no escape. The world is just plastic balls now. You sink and sink. You try to swim up to the surface, as you have before, but there is no surface. Just oblivion in the form of plastic balls in every direction around you. Your body relaxes into the realization. You feel nothing but hopelessness, but in that feeling, there is a sense of freedom. You don't care. You don't care about anything. About yourself, about Dad, about the rabbit. You are free from thought and worries and even boredom. You are free because you are trapped. You are trapped, floating in your sea of hard plastic and cloying color. So what I'm hoping is that they don't just copy and paste all this text. So like, oh, if we choose the option with the flashlight, we don't have to just read all this again. Okay, we're gonna attack the rabbit. You spin to face the rabbit. It's standing between you and Dad, still in the pit, looming at you like it likes to. No, not this time. Not this time. Your adrenaline is still coursing through you and you rush the rabbit, launching yourself at its lower half. If you can push it off balance, maybe you can send it into the ball pit and back to 1985 where it belongs. It staggers back, not falling off its feet but into the netting surrounding the pit. The useless netting that you finally realize has served its purpose of keeping people at bay in the worst possible moment. The rabbit steadies itself and then, with surprising speed, lunges at you, pinning you against the wall by the pit. You struggle against its grip, but it has you held fast. Then it opens its mouth. That stupid, horrible mouth that you've been staring into to try to see the person inside. That thing? It suddenly starts to open wider and wider, revealing yet more blackness and no humanity within whatever. The jaw unhinges, revealing 2 rows of razor-sharp fangs. Your blood runs cold. You struggle as hard as you can against the rabbit's grip as it lunges for your throat. Somehow, you manage to block it with your arm and the teeth drive deep into your skin, your flesh, hitting bone. It's pain unlike anything you felt before, and you cry out loudly. The blood drips down your arm and you feel yourself getting weaker, not only physically, but also mentally. Like your energy and will to fight back is seeping out of you along with your blood. That's your remnant or your agony or whatever. You feel hopeless and scared. And then, for some reason, you remember Gabrielle and her books. Okay, so are we gonna remember Theseus or Hercules? You remember Theseus and how he has his friend, Princess Ariadne, to help him. How you wish you had one now. You feel certain Gabrielle would actually come to your aid. You only just met, but she was really nice and enthusiastic about everything you had to say. She seems to genuinely enjoy your company. Besides, she loves reading about heroes. You bet she wouldn't mind being one. A Hercules or a Theseus or an Ariadne. And then you remember the string. String, of course, yeah, so again, this is the canon ending where the rabbit gets hanged in the string of the ball pit. You use all the strength that is left within you and wallop the rabbit in the face with your free hand. It's hardly a hard punch, but it's enough that it releases its grip on your arm. You lunge at the netting around the ball pit to grab it and pull it toward you. You will entangle the rabbit with the string. The rabbit catches you by your other arm and wrenches at it hard, breaking it with an easy snap as if it was nothing more than a twig. You scream out in pain. Your head swims. You feel bile rise up in your throat. You release the netting and fall to the ground useless and ashamed. The rabbit rises up before you and looks at you one last time. Please don't, you ask futilely. What? No, this is supposed to be the real ending. It stares at you, with pity maybe, like it is disappointed in your attempt to defeat it. Then it opens its mouth, unhinging its jaw again in that horrible snake-like fashion. You have nothing left in you to defend yourself. You close your eyes and brace yourself for the attack. It chomps down on you, and the last thing you remember is a piercing white-hot pain. I was wrong, I guess. So we're gonna do Hercules. Every head that Hercules cut off grew back twofold, and he still kept fighting until he solved how to defeat the beast. Now is no time to give up. You just have to rally, fight back until you win, because you are the hero, and heroes win. With your other arm, you take a mighty swing and clock the rabbit right in the head. It doesn't knock it out or anything, but it shakes it up enough that it releases the grip of your arm. You pull away and prepare to fight the beast, but it doesn't pursue you. Instead, it suddenly turns its focus on Dad, lying there unconscious in the ball pit. The rabbit's jaws are wide like a snake, and its teeth dripping with your blood, ready to inhale your dad whole. Well, that's not going to happen. You don't care about the throbbing pain in your arm, and your good friend Adrenaline is seriously on your side right now, because you launch yourself again at the rabbit, using the netting to spring yourself forward. As you fly in the air onto the rabbit's back, you cry out, "Leave my dad alone!" Not as cool as some action movie one-liners, but it comes from a place deep inside your very soul. And as you land on the rabbit's back, you start pummeling its head hard. You reach around and claw at its plastic eyes. You are determined to stop this thing no matter what. The rabbit twists and turns under your attack, and then with an otherworldly, almost mechanical roar, it throws you off and into the pit. You land hard next to your unconscious dad, and you scramble to pull yourself back up for round 2. This fight isn't over until you say it's over. As you burst out from the balls, you're struck by the sight in front of you. Somehow, the twisting and throwing you off its back has caught the rabbit up in the netting, one rope around its throat, pulling it up dangling above the floor. The more it twists, the more the rope tightens, and you just watch in horror and awe. And then, stillness. Nothing but an old, dirty yellow rabbit mascot suit hanging limp from a rope around its neck. A sudden gasp, and you reel around in the pit to find Dad has opened his eyes and taken in a deep breath. You rush over to him, thrilled beyond anything that he's awake, that he's alive. Dad looks around, confused. "I don't understand why I'm here. What's happening?" He finally makes eye contact with you, and his panic starts to melt. He looks so tired, but happy to see you. "What happened?" "What happened? Oh, you know, the usual. A giant yellow rabbit kidnapped you and took your place, and I fought it, and it hanged itself." "Yeah, no, that sounded crazy. And considering the fact that Jinx seems to be the only other creature alive that has been able to see the rabbit, probably very hard to prove. So instead you shoulder the blame. So, I hid in the ball pit to play a prank on you, which I shouldn't have done. You came to look for me, and I guess you must have hit your head and lost consciousness. And even though none of that was true, there is one thing that is. I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't mean for things to get so out of hand. You really, really didn't." Dad pushes himself up to sit with a heavy grunt and moves his head back and forth, twisting his neck a little bit. "I accept your apology, son," he says with a tired smile. "But you're right. You shouldn't have done it. And Jeff really should get rid of this ball pit before he has a lawsuit on his hands." Well, that was something you definitely could agree on. You help Dad to stand and you both climb out of the pit. You see Dad notice something, and you turn to where he's looking. The rabbit costume, hanging there, lifeless. "What's that creepy thing?" And you answer honestly, "I have no idea." Dad turns to look at you. Maybe he doesn't quite believe you. That's when he sees your arm. "Oswald, are you okay?" "It hurts, sure, but you are so okay. Better than okay." "Dad's back." "I'm fine," you say. "Uh-huh. We're getting you home so your mom can look at that." You seriously have no issues with that suggestion. You make your way to the exit, and you just feel so happy Dad's okay, and also super guilty about all your arguments this summer. "Dad, I know I can be a pain sometimes, but I really do love you, you know?" Dad looks at you, pleased but a little surprised. You don't blame him. It does probably feel super out of nowhere that you've said that. "Same here, kiddo." He reaches over to ruffle your hair, "But you do have a terrible taste in science fiction movies." You laugh. "Oh yeah? Well, you have a terrible taste in music, and you like boring ice cream. My taste is impeccable. Refined." "Sure, if boring means refined." You both laugh, and you grab Dad and give him a side hug. He squeezes you tightly back. "Now let's go home and watch one of my terrible movies," he says. "It's a plan." As the door to Jeff's closes behind you and you breathe in the cool, clean night air, you hear Jeff call out, "Hey kid, you forgot your soda." Okay, so that's where the real story ends. That's where Into the Pit, the book that the story is, ends. We have two options here. If you have half or a whole gold token, go here. If you don't have any tokens, go here. We do have half of a token, but we also have a lot of cleaning up to do. We have a lot of paths, because this is like the ending that is in the game, the game. But we have a lot of paths to do, and I guess we're here toward the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the episode now, and then in the next episode, we're going to go back to all the paths we didn't do. We're going to try to maybe find the other half of that token, and we're going to see what the true secret ending is. I do have to say I'm kind of confused by the whole, like, the FNAF team SWAT team that kills the rabbit thing, because if you go that path, then Gabrielle doesn't go to school. But if you don't go that path, then she does go to school. If you don't do that path, then they don't attack the restaurant that night. Like, why does your presence change the fact that they're going to attack the restaurant at night or that Gabrielle goes to school? Very confused by that. Either way, this reading was definitely way more fun than the first two, although I do still criticize the writer for copying and pasting large chunks of text across different paths that you can go, and also having different paths lead to the same ending. I would very much like it if every decision led to a unique ending. Maybe that's too much to ask for, but then again, in the week before, that's what they did. So maybe it was just leading with your best foot forward, not the best idea because it set our expectations too high. I don't know. Either way, I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're nice to each other in the comments. I hope you consider supporting the creators you admire. I hope you never lose sight of the things that are important to you. I hope you call Clifford a good boy in the comment section. And I hope that you remember that Freddy's stands for friendly, respectful, engagement, discussion, and discourse yields success. And we will see you next time.
My name is Oswald. Dad, I want some pizza. Oswald, that is my name. Oswald, I want another pizza. Where is my paw? I'm running out on the road. There is a car, and it is going to hit me.